Welcome to Shadow of History, where we delve into the mysterious, the dark, and the untold stories that linger in the margins of our world's past. Today, we journey across centuries and oceans to uncover the enigmatic tales of two islands that appeared on maps, shaped the ambitions of nations, and then disappeared, leaving behind only questions, legends, and a shadow of uncertainty. This is the story of Bermeja Island and Hy-Brasil, the islands that vanished from all maps. Let's begin in the sun-baked waters of the Gulf of Mexico. For over 4 centuries, a tiny speck known as Bermeja Island appeared on nautical charts, its location recorded by Spanish explorers, colonial mapmakers, and generations of sailors. Early maps, weathered by salt and time, marked Bermeja as a solitary dot north of the Yucatan Peninsula. Its name, derived from the Spanish word for reddish, hinted at the color of its soil, or perhaps the hue of the surrounding reefs. To the men who charted the coast and braved the unknown, Bermeja was more than a myth. It was a navigational fact, a point of reference in a dangerous sea. For centuries, no one questioned the island's existence. Its coordinates were copied from one map to the next, its presence confirmed by official documents and naval records. But the true significance of Bermeja would not emerge until the late 20th century, when the political tides shifted and the world's hunger for natural resources grew insatiable. By the 1990s, the Gulf of Mexico had become a battleground for oil rights, with international borders and fortunes hanging on the precise placement of islands and rocks. For Mexico, Bermeja was suddenly of vital importance. If the island could be found, it would extend Mexico's exclusive economic zone into oil-rich waters, potentially securing billions in energy reserves. In 1997, the Mexican government launched an exhaustive search for Bermeja. Navy vessels, scientific expeditions, and satellite surveys combed the area where the island should have stood. But the more they searched, the more elusive Bermeja became. There was no land, no reef, not even a submerged shoal to mark its passing. It was as if the island had never existed at all. The disappearance of Bermeja sparked a storm of speculation and suspicion. Could natural forces have erased an island from the face of the earth? Some geologists pointed to the shifting sands and rising seas of the Gulf, suggesting that Bermeja may have succumbed to erosion, hurricanes, or a sudden subsidence that dragged it beneath the waves. But others doubted such a complete erasure. Where were the traces, the underwater remnants, the telltale scars upon the seabed? Another theory proposed that Bermeja was nothing more than a cartographic error, a mistake made by an early mapmaker and repeated so often that it became accepted truth. In the age before precise navigation, such errors were common. A cloud, a mirage, or a misread landmark could conjure islands where none existed, and the inertia of tradition would keep them on maps for generations. Yet the most tantalizing and troubling possibility was one of deliberate erasure. Some speculated that Bermeja had been destroyed or concealed by covert interests. Conspiracy theories flourished, suggesting that the United States, eager to secure oil rights, might have secretly removed the island, or that powerful corporations manipulated maps to sway international negotiations. While no evidence supports such claims, the very absence of proof fuels the intrigue. What is clear is that Bermeja's disappearance carried real geopolitical consequences. Without the island, Mexico's claim to certain oil reserves weakened, and the boundary lines in the Gulf were redrawn. An island that may never have existed shaped the fate of nations, a testament to the strange power of maps to create, then erase, reality. But Bermeja is not alone in the annals of Phantom Islands. To find its mystical counterpart, we travel back through time and across the Atlantic to the mist-shrouded waters west of Ireland. Here, for generations, sailors spoke in hushed tones of Hy-Brasil, a legendary land that appeared on maps and in the dreams of explorers. First emerging in medieval cartography, Hy-Brasil was marked as a perfectly round island, often located roughly 200 miles off the Irish coast. Its name was said to derive from the Old Irish Hy-Brasil, the descendants of Brisal, or perhaps from the word Brisol, meaning great chief. But it was not just a name that drew attention. Legends told of an island veiled in mist, visible only once every 7 years, a place of wondrous knowledge, advanced beings, and unimaginable riches. Hy-Brasil's allure grew with each encounter. Sailors claimed to have seen its shores appear on the horizon, only to vanish as they drew closer. Some recounted strange experiences, mirages of golden cities, encounters with wise monks, or the return of travelers bearing secrets and silver. In the 15th century, renowned explorers like John Cabot set sail in search of Hy-Brasil, convinced that the island held the key to new worlds and new wealth. Maps from the 14th to the 17th centuries faithfully charted Hy-Brasil, its round shape a persistent enigma in a sea of uncertainty. Yet by the 1800s, the island began to fade from navigation charts, dismissed as a myth or a mirage. What then explains the enduring legend and its eventual erasure? Some historians point to natural phenomena. The waters west of Ireland are notorious for sea fogs and optical illusions, where light bends over the horizon and conjures islands from nothing. Atmospheric mirages, known as fata morgana, can lift distant landmasses or clouds into the sky, tricking even the most seasoned sailors. Others suggest that Hy-Brasil was inspired by real but poorly charted islands, sunken banks, or submerged plateaus that rose above the sea in ancient times. Yet the myth of Hy-Brasil endures, woven into the fabric of Celtic folklore. It became a symbol of the unreachable, the hidden, and the otherworldly, a place where the boundary between reality and imagination blurs. Even today, Hy-Brasil appears in stories, music, and art, a reminder that some mysteries refuse to be forgotten. The tales of Bermeja and Hy-Brasil reveal a curious intersection of science, myth, and power. They remind us that maps are not merely records of geography, but instruments of belief, aspiration, and control. Sometimes, islands vanish through erosion, sea level rise, or the whims of tectonic fate. Sometimes, they disappear through mistakes, misreadings, or the slow erosion of memory. And sometimes, they are erased by human hands, deliberately or otherwise, in the pursuit of wealth, security, or dominance. In the shadow of history, these phantom islands still linger, silent, invisible, and unresolved. They challenge us to question what we know, to peer beyond the edge of the map, and to wonder what other secrets might lie lost beneath the waves. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the forgotten corners of our world. If you crave more mysteries, more shadows, and more untold stories from history, stay with us here at Shadow of History. The unknown is never far away.